Hello everybody. Today we're going to be reading in a chapter book about the killer's phobia. Chapter 1, Cholesterol Hallucination. This is copyrighted by me by using ChatGPT about Five Nights at Freddy's fan-made series. So, the killer's phobia, let's start with cholesterol hallucination. This talks about Springtrap getting trapped inside a mental asylum, guarded by, I can't spoil things yet about in chapter 2, 3, or I might be making any of these books if you guys are all interested in the killer's phobia. But anyways, let's get started. Chapter 1, Cholesterol Hallucination. The night swallowed the abandoned mental hospital whole. Wind howled through broken corridors and rattled loose ceiling panels like distant whispers. Rain tapped lightly against shattered glass. Almost sharpened glass. I almost said sharpened glass. Moving on. And somewhere deep inside the building, metal scraped against metal in a slow, aching rhythm. In the farthest wing of the asylum, behind rusted double doors, burly hanging from their hinges, there was a room, white, once clean, once padded. Now it was decaying. The rubber walls were stained yellow and gray with age and mold. Cracks split the padding, excuse my stuttering, the padding open like wounds. The overhead light flickered weakly, buzzing in uneven intervals, threatening to die at any second. A single narrow window, barricaded with thick orange rusted jail bars, allowed a pale slice of moonlight spill onto the floor. In the center of the room, he struggled. Claustrophobia Springtrap heavily. He decayed greenish-yellow animatronic rabbit bound inside a white straitjacket. Long brown pants hung stiffly from his frame. The fabric around his torso strained as he twisted violently, metal joints grinding and squealing beneath torn synthetic fur. His face was a horror of slits and cracks. Portions of the mask split open with each movement, exposing glimpses of his corpse, trapped inside. Shriveled flesh, darkened bone. His teeth jutted outward unnaturally. Always visible, always grinning. His eyes were small and sharp. His right eye, almost said left. Anyways, his right eye is blue. His left eye is green. Both were wide-eyed, both furious. His ears, stripped of any covering, were nothing but exposed those metal frames that twitched and scraped against each other whenever he jerked his head. Page 2. He pulled against the straitjacket. Again. The fabric didn't tear, not even a thread. The padded walls closed in around him, white, on all sides, no corners, no escape, no shadows. For a killer who once stalked others in the dark, there was nothing more suffocating than being trapped. "I'll rip you apart!" Springtrap snarled at nothing, slamming his shoulder into the padded wall. The impact left a dull thud, but the wall absorbed the blow. The light flickered, and when it steadied again, he wasn't alone. Across the room stood a tall, shadowy black bear. He didn't enter through the door. He hadn't made a sound. He was simply there the whole time. His fur was darker than the room's shadows. On his head sat a yellow hat. Around his neck rested a large yellow bow tie, and embedded in its center was a small human eye, barely visible, staring outward without blinking. Where his stomach should have been was an old television screen. Inside the static-filled screen were dozens of human eyes, all staring in different directions, twitching, blinking, and rolling. The bear had no jaw, but no bottom jaw, actually. Only large upper teeth that stretched unnaturally far back along the sides of his neck. And his eyes, human, watching, always watching. Springtrap froze, then laughed. A dry mechanical rasp. "You think you can keep me in this fluffy molded prison?" he mocked. Struggling again. "This is just cloth, just walls. I've broken worse." The shadowy bear tilted his head slowly. "Try and struggle as long as you like," he said calmly. His voice echoed strangely, as if it came from behind the walls rather than from his mouth. "It won't break as easily as you think." Springtrap thrashed harder. The straitjacket held firm. The room suddenly felt smaller. Page 4. Springtrap's breathing. Hold up. Sorry. I'll restart again. Springtrap's breathing, through unnecessary, became frantic. The flickering light. Oh. Okay. Sorry about that. I missed a word there. That is in the top right corner. The flickering light buzzed louder. Springtrap's breathing, thought unnecessary, became frantic. The padded walls seemed to inch closer. The ceiling pressed downward, like it's trying to squish him, or worse. The air thickened. claustrophobia, the one thing he could never escape. He glared at the bear. "Who are you?" He demanded. The shadow figure stood patiently. "I'm Scoopophobia friend." The bear answered softly. The name echoed around the room. Scoopophobia, the fear of being watched. Every eye in the television screen shifted at once, focusing directly on Springtrap like it's alive. The small eye in the bow tie twitched. Springtrap's mismatched eyes widened. His voice faltered. "I recognize you." For a moment, just a moment, the bear's human eyes softened. A memory flickered through Springtrap's head or mind. The 1980s, a child, familiar voice, a face long buried by time and rot. "Wait!" Springtrap shouted. "I recognize you!" The light flickered violently. Oh, sorry about that. Didn't mean to put that too close. And then the bear dissolved into the black smoke, curling upward and vanishing into the ceiling like it had never been there after all. Or at all. Or never. Silence returned. The flickering light steadied. Springtrap stood alone again in the decaying white room. The walls didn't move. The straitjacket didn't loosen. The window bars didn't bend. But the feeling of being watched remained. Page 5 to page number 6. Slowly he scanned the empty corners. Nothing. No eyes. No bear. Only the molded stained walls and the rusted bars over the window. He laughed again, but it was softer now, more hollow. The walls seemed closer than before. The ceiling lower. The straitjacket tighter. He tugged at it once more, but his strength felt drained as thought. The room itself was feeding on his panic. "I can't die," he muttered to himself. Never could. The flickering light dimmed again. Outside the buried window, the distant light vanished behind thick clouds, and suffocating silence of the padded room, claustrophobia sat alone, trapped not only by cloth and walls, but by the curse of being watched. Somewhere in the darkness unseen, eyes blinked, and the room grew smaller. The end.